My first day on the job at 10 Almaden, I moved into my new corner office with its wide wall of windows overlooking San Jose. I felt as if I had arrived. The room was luxurious, with warm fabric wallpaper and a cherry wood desk. I sat in my executive swivel chair, stretched back, and took it all in. Everything was new: a brand new Apple computer, a brand new phone system. My assistant cheerfully said, "Good morning, Mr. Kuskey," and answered the intercom every time I buzzed. Once I settled into my new digs, James Lambert knocked on my door. He had been assigned as my mentor and promised to show me the company's offices. James was a former youth pastor, very tall and thin, with long blonde hair, a handsome guy who looked more like a surfer than a vice president of publishing. He had a smooth, soft-spoken, understated manner that made him very easy to be around. His specialty was the printing of the art, and he had a close relationship with Thomas Kinkade as a result. James spoke of Tom as an acolyte speaks of his master, with reverence and adoration, and I was eager to hear anything he had to tell me. I had yet to meet the elusive painter of light, who preferred to stay ensconced in his studio as opposed to being surrounded by the bustle of the office. As James and I walked through the honeycomb of offices, he introduced me to everyone. I shook more hands than I can remember. Everyone was friendly and seemed genuinely happy to be working there. We visited the marketing department with its spreadsheets and projections on the walls and easels covered in charts and statistics. We walked through the graphics department with its drawing tables and young men and women hunched over stencils and color transparencies. We dipped into the executive office suites, where I shook hands with Ken Rosh, who welcomed me warmly to the company. We stopped in at Dan Burns' office and made plans for lunch. I went into Kevin's office grinning from ear to ear. I gave him a bear hug and thanked him again for making it possible. At lunchtime, Dan, Kevin, Sales Vice President Paul Barboza, and I walked out of the marbled hallways and into the sunny streets of downtown San Jose. We grabbed some sandwiches and sat on a bench on the sidewalk, watching the bustle of the city around us. I was giddy with my good fortune. In the days to come, I threw myself into work. I set about to decipher what could be done with the Thomas Kinkade brand and images. I perused the library of his art and familiarized myself with the sales history of his work. I drew up calendars of releases, past, present, and future, creating a map of all the images coming out of Kinkade's body of work. I investigated how the company sold the art and what their formula was. It was like nothing I had ever encountered, revealing unbelievable diversification and stratification possibilities. I believed one image could be used for 15 to 20 different products, maybe more. It was exciting for me to try to crack the code with regard to what Thomas Kinkade's fans would want to see. After the first 2 weeks, I finally had a short list of products for licensing, which I set about to put into motion. I also scoured every other artist and venture Media Arts was developing, and soon realized Kinkade's work was the only art that was best positioned for licensing. Obviously, Kinkade was the powerful driving revenue force behind the company. A fleeting thought crossed my mind about the work of the other artists being marketed for diversification: Susan Rios, David Winter, and even Nancy Faulkner, the artist I'd brought with me. Deep down, I wondered whether the public would care about their work the way they cared about Tom's. From the beginning, I felt strongly that this was a Thomas Kinkade company, that without him there wouldn't be a company and nothing to diversify. But since going public, they had hung up the Magi sign. They had removed Tom's original company name, Lightpost Publishing, and merged all business into a subdivision of Media Arts. Gone was the name that reflected the heart of the business. Media Arts proclaimed itself as a marketing and media business, not the business of Thomas Kinkade.